Now, it seems over the summer months, many of us are much more likely to be checking our phones than checking our sunscreen is topped up. And the British Skin Foundation is saying that getting sunburned just 5 times in a lifetime more than doubles your risk of getting melanoma, skin cancer. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Dr. Emma Wedgeworth, consultant dermatologist at the British Skin Foundation, and also by Lee Mcdonald, who those of a certain age, me included, will remember as Zamo on Grange Hill back in the day. How are we doing both?
Hiya, all good.
Right, first of all, Lee, you had a very serious situation when you were discovered to have an unusual spot on your face.
Fortunately, it was a scare. It was a year ago. I went to the doctor with a spot on my eye, and he said at the time it looks like a BCC, which worried me because obviously that's a cancerous spot. After the second biopsy, they said it wasn't cancerous, so it was a big relief for me. There was many days of crying when I did think I had cancer. But recently, because of this campaign, the O2 campaign, I've now gone back to the doctors and I've got a keratosis, which was just discussing with Emma, which is it's a non-cancerous, but it's a sunspot and could become cancerous or whatever. It's just a dodgy area. And he said it's because I used to use sunbeds many years ago, quite a lot from the age of 17 to probably 25. And he said that's probably where the damage has come from. So we just need to be aware of, how that either sun can damage you.
And Emma, obviously, when Lee and I were growing up back in the day, there was less concern about sunscreen anyway, in spite of his tanning sessions to keep him looking bronzed. And these are things which people need to take seriously. And obviously, with this research done by O2 and the comparison between looking at our phones compared to actually looking after our skin, it is hugely important. And as somebody who has got a very high forehead, it goes right the way to the back. I have to be really careful in the sun. And factor 50 is my friend.
Definitely. And we do know so much more now about how to keep our skin safe in the sun. And we know that excessive sun exposure is one of the absolutely biggest risk factors for skin cancer. But the research from O2 still shows that people are getting burned. So 50% of people have experienced at least one episode of burning in the past couple of years. Over 20% of people don't really know what the UV ratings mean. Over almost a third of people don't quite understand what SPF is. So we have come on in leaps and bounds, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
Absolutely. And Lee, I mean, this is now a case of monitoring for you, isn't it? The sunspot that you've got, which is at the moment not an issue, is a concern, but it's one which hopefully, whilst monitored, you can react to quickly. And it's a speed of reaction which is important. And obviously, that was your concern when you were misdiagnosed last time, but appropriately misdiagnosed.
Yes, yes. And I say now because of the O2 campaign, I go fishing every Sunday. I'm aware now. I've bought a bivvy so that me and my son can sit in the bivvy when it's very, very hot, and put in factor 50 on. And we go abroad a lot, and we're quite exposed to the sun because we normally stay at a friend's villa, and there's no trees or anything around, so we're constantly on the sun or in the sun. And I think that's what is the real worry.
Emma, I mean, it's important that as Lisa says, you're actually getting out of the sun. Whilst we might put factor 50 or 30 at least on our exposed bits, you got to remember your clothes have got to be UV resistant as well.
It's such a good point, Jason. So we know that sun protection is not just SPF. It's obviously very important, but it's actually your last line of defense. So there are three factors that the British Skin Foundation really like to emphasize in their campaign. That's more, more, more. More shade and seeking times out of the sun, particularly in those really intense hours between 11 and 3, covering up, and like you say, not just very thin, loose white clothing, but actually clothing that's got a bit of sun protection. And then your third line of defense is SPF.
And it's about, say, making sure you look after. And the right SPF can actually be a nice moisturizer as well, and not just something claggy, which which blocks the UV. So, Lee, I mean, obviously, you're looking after your kids to make sure that they don't make the same sort of errors when it comes down to tanning booths as you did in your youth. But also, you're making sure that they stay safe when they're out and about. And however much they moan, waterproof factor 50 is again something which is part of your family routine, I guess.
It is indeed, and also I'm aware now that in my younger years, sun cream would just be applied once in the morning, and that's it. I wouldn't bother putting it on again. Now I'm so aware now that it needs to go on. Repeat it, put it on more, and I make sure my son is aware that he's got to have factor 50, even if he's out with his mates playing football and he's not in the sun sunbathing, so to speak. He needs to be putting it on. Really needs to be putting it on.
And again, whereas the Grange Hill in its day actually was as the sort of show which inspired kids to behave in the right way, even though it showed some wrongdoing. Actually, it's the sort of thing which we need to see on TV as well, don't we? We need to get that message out there and just see this being normal when, maybe in an Australian soap opera, they go to the beach, they actually get sunscreen.
I think you're absolutely right. It definitely needs to. There needs to be more of an awareness campaign, or like you say, in a soap or a TV thing, it needs to be taken on as a storyline because it is a big problem, and it seems to be getting worse, which is quite worrying.
And Emma, obviously, we need to make sure we're looking after ourselves, looking after our skin, and again, it's research from the likes of O2 here, which really is highlighting the sort of problems that we're seeing.
Definitely. And I think you're absolutely right about young people in particular. We know that around, for example, teenage years, that body image and what you look like becomes very, very important. And these guys are very at risk of sunburn. So actually having something in the public eye, something on TV, a storyline about that would be really helpful.
Well, we've seen it done before. We've even had songs about things in the past, so you never know, Lee. You might be able to get your vocal cords out and do a new tune about making sure we protect ourselves
We
from the
could
sun.
just say yes to the sun cream.
I think that'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? Again, for those of us who aren't the right age, they have no clue. I don't think Emma's old enough to remember some of this, to be fair, but Lee will explain it to you later. I'm going to dig out the song. Meanwhile, for now, where do we go for more on the survey and, of course, to get some excellent advice when it comes to looking after our skin?
So the British Skin Foundation has a huge amount of advice, and O2 also does as well. So head on over there.
Okay, check out both of those. And for now, Lee McDonald, forever Zamo to me, and Emma Wedgeworth from the British Skin Foundation. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you very much.